Well, this is the Fight Night Daily Podcast. We are live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I think you know why. But look at the traffic. It's 12:15 in the morning. How busy is that? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? It goes back about 4 miles.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how busy it is. We've had a busy time as well because, of course, we met at Heathrow last night to get the early flight out of Heathrow to Riyadh. And again, very early start for us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very early start. We, at T4 as well, leaving T4 this morning, a bit of breakfast before I'm sure you had a pint of Corona. Is that crossing
No, you were seeing things, mate. You were seeing things. Listen, it has been a long day. It certainly has been a long day, but we found the time to do this pod.
Yeah. And we're off. And the plane journey, again, Saudi Airlines, very good, wasn't it? We all tried to watch the Elvis film. None of us had seen it, myself and obviously Ed and Pat, but you wouldn't show up, so we couldn't actually watch it in peace.
Listen, I don't do films.
No one on the plane did.
I haven't got time for films. I don't do films. I like to talk about what is going on this weekend, the big fight, Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. What's going to happen in that? And that's all I'm interested in, really. I mean, apart from the pancake side on there.
Yeah, apart from the pancakes on the plane, and then of course the buffet in the hotel as well, because your veal curry's gone down well, hasn't it?
I forgot about that.
How many servings?
I need to talk about it. It's a couple.
Well, there we are. Anyway, we're settling in quite well anyway into Riyadh, but it is all about, as you say, Jake Paul against Tommy Fury. And Jake Paul's had plenty more to say again today. He's going to do this and that to Tommy Fury. We are tomorrow going to, see them face to face for the first time in Saudi Arabia. Recent times anyway, at least, and they are, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of verbals. I mean, what are you expecting tomorrow?
Reality's going to kick in. So
you're going to say later today, by the way, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, reality's going to kick in for the both of them, whatever you think of this fight, it is a big fight. It's a huge fight. There's a lot of anticipation surrounding the fight. Who we think's going to win? Everyone's got an opinion, but no one really knows. Jake Paul's 6-0, 4 KOs, but never boxed a boxer. MMA stars, UFC stars like Tyrone Woodley, but now he's stepping up to face a real boxer. And Tommy Fury, 8-0 with 4 KOs, but never really boxed anyone of any sort of substance. And it's going into the unknown for both of these two. That's what makes this fight exciting. And like you say, Dom, they've both been building up. They've both been talking the talk. But let's see who can walk the walk. Because tomorrow, as I say, reality kicks in and things are going to start. Emotions are going to kick in.
It's going to be a lot of to and fro, isn't it? Let's face it. We know they're going to probably both pull out all the tricks. It's going to be a real promotion, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Listen, it's all about the psychological battle right now. It's about who can get inside.
Who's winning that in a minute?
Well, this is it. I think at the moment they're both holding their own.
Yeah.
And I think, but when they come face to face, then we'll start to see if any cracks appear between the pair of them. Because, like I say, it is a huge fight, and there's a lot of eyeballs on this fight. And it's an intriguing one, but I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, just because I like that psychological side of things, and it's sort of you can tell how a fighter's really feeling. Both guys I know have left no stone unturned because both guys, there's a lot on the line. The egos coming to play. Whoever loses this fight, I mean, Tommy Fury, if he loses this fight, Tyson's been vocal about it.
Yep.
He says, listen, you're not coming back to England, mate. You can't come back to England.
I think he comes back for Christmas or something. That's about it.
That's about it. And Jake Paul, he's been very vocal about what he's going to do to Tommy. The fight's been on, then it's been off, then it's been back on. He says Tommy's never fancied the fight. Now he's here. Now it's on. So Jake has to win this one as well if he wants to continue his boxing career and be taken seriously as a real boxer, because I think he will gain that respect. I think, you've got to look at what he's done for the sport. Whether you like it or not, I think he's brought a lot of new eyeballs to the sport, and he trains hard. You've got to give him the credit for that. But now this is the acid test.
So what about Saudi being the venue? And obviously in Riyadh, the venue you've been before, obviously with Joshua fight and everything else. And we know that Saudi, they're really pushing sport. You see it we saw it coming out of the airport. You see it on the billboards. You see it on the drive from the airport to the hotel. What will that do for the occasion, do you feel? And who'll cope with the occasion better? Because, the arena and again, that whole spectacle that you have with a Saudi fight.
Well, it was very subdued, wasn't it? When we go back to 2019, when Anthony Joshua boxed Andy Ruiz Jr. in the return, You felt that the Saudi had bought that fight because they wanted to get recognised for putting more sports events on, and that was a huge one to put on. And you looked around the arena and it was half full, and you could tell that a lot of tickets had been given away. There was no real appetite for the sport. Then we fast forward a couple of years and we get Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk, the rematch, and we're in a different stadium. There's like 10,000 people there. It's absolutely packed. Carnival feel to it. You know, it was a real different vibe. So it shows you how boxing's evolved out here. You know, it really has. You know, it's come on leaps and bounds, and I'm expecting a mad crowd in there actually on Sunday night. I really am. I think that, you know, there is an appetite for the sport out here now in Saudi. I think that people are starting to recognise it, starting to like it. And YouTube, Jake Paul, you know, there's a lot of kids around the world that are really into this kid, and he's bringing boxing into the spotlight. I
wonder, will we see Cristiano Ronaldo at the fight?
Rumours
that would be
have
interesting. Yeah, well, that's one thing. We'll try and find a bit more about that later on at the press conference. But, excuse me, one thing that will be interesting, I think whenever you go to a place like Saudi Arabia, people say, God, how hot is it? Well, it's an outdoor event on a Sunday night. Now, we've been having a walk around here, and it's a little bit like Manchester. I'm not joking, isn't it? I mean, you've not taken your coat off.
I'm wearing a jacket.
It's not hot in the evening. It's perfectly acceptable weather. So both lads, it'll be nice temperature to boxing.
Yeah, it will. It will. Like I say, like, you know, the two times I come out here, when Joshua boxed Ruiz, it was December time. It rained that night actually, and there was a little bit of hailstones as well, and it was quite cold, and it was an outside arena. Then when we come back again, when he boxed Alexander Usyk, it was summertime, and it was an indoor arena, but it was very, very, very hot. Yeah. So the contrast is totally different. Out there at the moment is probably, I don't know, 16, 17 degrees.
It's not quite Manchester. That's a bit of an exaggeration.
It's a little exaggeration. Manchester in the summer, maybe. That's probably a fair assessment. But I just think that, I think that the temperature, it won't really play a part with these boys in this one because it's the right time of year. I think they've chosen the right time of year.
Well, we look forward to that, of course. There is a world title fight on the undercard as well, a great cruiserweight contest, WBC, and it is, of course, Makabu against Badou Jack, who we know both fighters very well from these shows, on these shows, or that fought Brits and all the rest of it. But speaking of the WBC, because of course today, and they have announced that no conclusive evidence that Conor Benn intentionally or knowingly ingested clomiphene. That's the WBC's ruling today. Yeah. So they are in effect clearing Conor Benn. I mean, your thoughts on that?
What was the reasons behind that, saying that it could have been
highly elevated consumption of eggs?
Yeah. So we. You know my thoughts on that, if I'm totally honest. I've been vocal about it. You know, it is what it is. He's presented his case to the WBC, a 270-page document. The WBC have decided to accept that. That doesn't mean to say it changes. He hasn't got a license to box anyway. He's probably going to have to get a license. After speaking to Robert Smith last week on our boxing podcast, talk boxing podcast with Simon Jordan, you know, Robert was quite vocal in saying, listen, it doesn't matter what the WBC say. You know, if he gets ranked back in the WBC rankings, he still has to present his case to us, and we have to be satisfied for him to box on these shores. So as it stands, I'm not sure where his license is going to be. I saw an interview with Eddie Hearn as well, talking about, you know, maybe they won't have time to get that case together for March time that they're talking about for Conor to be boxing or something like that. So still a lot of loopholes that's got to be jumped through, but I suppose it's a start for Conor to try and get his career back on track. What do we think of the WBC by making that ruling? It's not really, you know, it's not really a strong case for me from the WBC. I mean, it's not really good for the sport, you know, the way that they've took this stance and said, well, you know, we know what the facts were. He failed 2 tests, and they are the facts, whether you like it or not, at different times. Not that he just failed one and then he failed the B sample or whatever. He failed 2 different tests, and they've gone down that route with the eggs.
It's not the last we heard of all this anyways. No. I think we can safely say that.
Absolutely.
But of course, we are looking forward to a lot later on today, but it's going to be a long one. The press event is going to go on for about 5 hours, I think, because Jake Paul's doing his stuff first, then there's going to be undercard presser, main event presser, and then Tommy Fury's doing his stuff. It's all regimentally stretched out. It's a long day, but they're really, really going for it here, aren't they?
Absolutely. That's what I said to you. You know, they want to get recognised as, you know, one of the main countries hosting these big sporting events. And we've seen that, you know, they're putting a lot of money in, not just to boxing, into tennis, you know, into soccer, into loads of sports. You know, like you say, Cristiano Ronaldo is over here now. He's playing football over here. They want to get recognised. So this is the journey they're doing. And they do put on a good event, to be fair. It will be, like you say, it'll be an all-day thing. And they'll go all out with it. I'm looking forward to this week.
Yep, so that's day one, but we've got plenty more to bring you. Of course, we're going to have all the action, and I think there's going to be some shenanigans.
Absolutely. Listen, that's one guarantee we've got is tomorrow, when they come face to face for the first time for a while, it's going to be, it's going to be, there'll be a bit of pushing and shoving, I'm sure, to say the least.
Well, that is day one, but of course, if you are listening to us today, we'll get over to the YouTube channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to the talkSPORT boxing channel, because there's plenty of stuff on there. There's fantastic stuff going on there, isn't there?
There's loads of stuff on there, mate.
And remember, of course, it is all about Jake Paul against Tommy Fury. It is exclusively live and free on talkSPORT.